morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with my friend, Dr. Ellen Albertson. Hi,
Hey,
Ellen.
Kathy. So fun to be here.
Yes. Well, I am so excited to introduce all of you to Dr. Ellen. She's an author, a speaker, a psychologist, a registered dietitian, a health and wellness coach. And if that wasn't enough, she's a Reiki master and she's a midlife rock star. And behind her, you'll see her book, Rock Your Midlife. And I think you will just... Yeah, that was the Vanna White move. So, Dr. Ellen, I'm so glad you're my friend. I really, really love what you do. And I think it's so important to really get people back into their power and into their joy. So, why don't we start with how did you get on this journey to rock your midlife?
Well, first, Kathy, thanks for having me. And I feel
Okay.
the same way about you. So I'm super excited to share with your tribe. Wow. Well, part of it is like, how did I get off? Right. So I've been thinking a lot about this, and this is sort of my spiritual coming out of the closet, like my cosmic coming out party lately, because something happened to me in kindergarten where I was this, I think a lot of us, right, who are, magical, love the cosmos, astrology, tarot, all of these things. We shut it down in childhood. And I remember being this really fun, joyful kid with lots of like imaginary friends. And then something just happened where I just like left all of that and I got very serious and I got very interested in just pleasing my parents and doing really well academically, and I kind of followed this path for decades. And there'd be inklings of, I'd go into the new age bookstore and I'd grab a deck and I would sort of doing all of these things but really staying in the spiritual closet. And I guess part of it is just realizing how powerful connecting all of this 5D, all of our spirituality, all of these tools, connecting with our intuition, how incredibly powerful it is. And it's been like this, the floodgates have opened up. And I've sort of stepped out. And I think I was diagnosed with breast cancer about a year and a half ago. And it was kind of like, life is short, like be who you are. And also there was, some hypocrisy there because my business, what I help women do is rock their midlife, which is all about embracing who you are, letting go of who you're supposed to be, embracing who you are and harmonizing the dance of your life with the song in your heart. So it's been this gradual process. Yes, Reiki is something I learned 30 years ago. Astrology and tarot I've been doing since my 20s, but really coming out full force and saying, I'm going to combine all of my, my clinical training, my scientific background with woo, because woo is real, it works, and the two together are unstoppable. And I find so much with my clients that they've got these blocks that they don't understand. And when I look at their chart, when I look at their gene keys, which is a type of way to understand your purpose, and I really can see what's holding them back. So it's super, and plus it's just super fun to combine the two together. So that's a long-winded way of how I got to this place. Plus, of course, you've helped me because you've been like, hey, you're all about helping people connect with their true passion and purpose and giving people the confidence to step out strong, because we need more of that. We need 5D. We're here to transform. We're here, we're raising the consciousness of the planet. And that's something each of us have to work on. So that's something that I've been working on. And I'm excited to bring more of it into my work and to my clients.
Well, what I find honestly is that your energy is so contagious. It's like you and I both bounce off each other, and it builds and builds and builds, and then all this creativity shows up from it. And that's what I think we need in order to go through all these changes that we're going through right now. I mean, there's isn't a front in society, business, culture, arts, education, all of it needs to be changed, and we need a creative problem solving method. And you can't do it from that serious, unhappy place, the joyful place that actually allows you to play around and bounce things off and not to be perfect. We really, I think you and I have mentioned this among ourselves. A lot of us in our age group, our midlife age group, grew up thinking that if we weren't perfect, we weren't lovable.
Mm.
And don't you agree that that's still running strong for a lot of people?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a combination of if you're taking a look at this sort of the outer planets, which move really slow, it's a generational thing where a lot of us have Pluto and Virgo is like the perfectionist, right? So it's kind of feels like your life is one big report card, like you got to like get it right. And then a lot of us also have Chiron, who's the wounded healer in Pisces, which is all about this people pleasing. So if you put the got to be perfect, got to please everybody together, and I think I see this with midlife women all the time is that we are trying so hard to be perfect and to please everybody else. And then we realize, wonder why is the anger coming out? Why am I all of a sudden feeling angry, resentment, tired? Like I have no joy and fun in my life. Like, where did my joy go? I think most of my clients, when they approach me, and I think a lot of midlife women in general, they're like, I just want to wake up joyful, energized, and excited to start my day. And part of that is letting go of that perfectionist that you mentioned, Kathy, and letting go of that people pleaser and saying, now it's time to please me. It doesn't mean that you forget about all the people that you love, but you start to focus on who am I really? What do I really want? What lights me up? And when you do that, you help other midlife women to do the same. So we are all this contagious energy that you mentioned. Each of us has a role. So the Dalai Lama said the Western woman is going to save the world. And he's talking about us. He's talking about midlife women. We are wise. We impact up to 4 generations. We impact grandkids, kids, our peers, our parents, and we've lost our power. And so, we're here to help women get their power back and to have more fun, more joy, to rock their midlife.
Right. Well, so how do you see this as this change? Because right away you started talking about astrology, and people don't really. I don't even think I put astrologist because you had so many other things to say. Um, what what your gift is that you have connected and compiled a different kind of overview so people can really see who they are at a different level. This is not personality testing. This is not psychological testing. This is who you are by using these tools that you've used personally and for fun and for business to help people evolve past their blocks. So the blocks that we may have may show up as extra 20 pounds. It may show up as not having any zest for life. It may show up in not having good relationships because it's with yourself and others. So do you want to talk a little bit about how your combination of putting things together really is, or number one, I know it's very unique and very helpful. It's much more straight to the point. So there's no fluff to it. It's
Right.
really right there, and very useful because of that. But could you talk a little bit about how you compiled that? Because I think most people don't, they might get one aspect of this if they went to go work with someone else, but they wouldn't get this bundle that you've put together.
Yeah, well, it all comes down to what I like to think about is pulling out these sort of psycho-spiritual splinters. But the what I do, I mean, it sort of started because I started my work 30 years ago as a dietitian. And everybody coming to me was like, I want weight loss. And as I started working with them, I'm like, wait, this isn't about weight loss. This is about that you aren't happy with your life. Your life is out of balance. You don't love yourself. You aren't giving yourself what you need. You aren't, you're really very, very stuck. So gradually I developed a methodology and a huge toolbox to help women. So I really start by working holistically, as you mentioned. So really looking at what's going on with your body, because we have bodies. Our bodies are important. We're energetic beings. It's kind of our home. What's going on with your mind? What are your thoughts? Because your thoughts create your reality. They're like the scaffolding that you build what you want to manifest on. I take a look at your emotions, because the emotions are the magnetic force that attracts what you want. We take a look at your spirit. What brings you to life? Where do you find purpose, meaning? What's your connection with the divine? And then also, looking at your relationships, and then using, all of these various tools, and then bringing in the human design, which is the gene keys of looking at what keeps you radiant, what keeps you well, what is your passion and purpose, what's your life work, looking at, it's kind of like all of these kind of breadcrumbs that are leading to you to where you are. And then also, again, bringing in the astrology. I'll just give you one example of a client that I worked with the other day. I did a reading for, and she was really struggling with her finances. Her finances were absolutely fine, but she was terrified of spending money. We looked at her chart, and we saw that she's got her moon in Cancer, which is kind of like, think about the crab, you can kind of like hold things in, it's emotional. It was in her second house, which is your really house of your finances and your resources. So as we kind of brought all of these things to light, she was like, oh yeah, I can see that. And then we can work on bringing it into your conscious reality and healing it, because there's so much subconscious stuff. It's like the iceberg, right? We can see the iceberg, but underneath there's all of these things. So I'm using tools like human design, like astrology, like tarot, to try to understand what's going on subconsciously, and then using my other skills as a psychologist, as a mindful self-compassion teacher, as a nutritionist, to work on the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit on a different level. But it all kind of works together seamlessly. And what ends up happening is, I think the first thing that I work with people is, you've got to love yourself. And I think, you raised this point a moment ago, Kathy, when you said, we're so hard on ourselves, right? We've got this like Virgo perfection energy, and we're pleasing everybody else. And then the flip side of that is there's a lot of self-loathing. I work with people with self-compassion, which is really the how of self-love, actual practices that anybody can learn and do, no matter how critically, how critical you are of yourself, how judgmental, gradually treating yourself like a good friend. And that just flips everything, because you stop doing the things that insult your soul, and you start to attract what is in your best interest. So it starts to get really magical, where you get to know yourself, you get to love yourself, you get to energize yourself, you feel empowered, you're rehabbing your relationships, you are enlightening yourself, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm rocking my midlife. It's just amazing, the transformation that I see in my clients who work with me.
Fantastic. Well, I got to have a reading, and I had a Rockstar reading, and I was so surprised. I mean, it was like, dream bigger, okay. um, and what Ellen kind of said really quickly was, she uses amazing, let's see, what's the right word? Tools to help you go deeper into who you really are and why you might have the blocks that you have, and then gives you ways to work through them. So the gene keys, which if no one's heard of it, it's GENE keys, is part of her reading. And the gene keys, is that Richard?
Richard Rude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the book downstairs. It's like a phone. It's like the old book.
It's
Yeah.
a big book, and it's amazing, but it's a type of human design that uses astrology and the I Ching. And I found it to be very worthwhile in these readings. What I'm doing is I'm looking at, your life's work, looking at your evolution, looking at your radiance, and looking at your purpose. But I think all of it is really so much about bringing what is subconscious to the conscious. I also work with something called immunity to change. So often we have this inbuilt immune system that is keeping us from what it is we really want and moving forward, that we aren't even aware of. And then through my work as well with Reiki, I can help heal some of that. And we can also start to help people. I help people step outside their comfort zone. and they start to realize, why was I scared of that thing? That was so much fun. It was so great. It really was transformative. So I hold your hand and help you to try to, make those changes, make those moves, face your fears so that you really can enjoy this incredible next chapter that you have. We have this whole second adulthood as women. We're living, I'm going to make it to 100. We're living right into our 80s, 90s, even 100. And so this is such a pivotal time, midlife, to make this kind of transformation. And I created these readings specifically because I wanted to offer something that someone could really have a much deeper understanding of themselves, to learn their passion and their purpose, to take a look at their blocks, to take a look at their gifts, to understand themselves on a cosmic level so they truly can rock their midlife.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, and of course, I love that it's cosmic. It's not just because the idea that we see ourselves as energy and as valuable contributors to the service of the change that is happening right now, that is really there's no denying that there's so many aspects of what we're doing with our food and with everything that needs to be changed. But the attributes that you uncovered for me, I was really, I mean, I knew some of it, and I had done human design instead of gene keys. So the human design is one part of it, and then the gene keys is a whole next level. So I'm glad that you're using the gene keys. But do you want to talk a little bit about the Rock Your Midlife, your book, and tell us a little bit about, because your book is a bestseller. It's still selling, months and months later, people are picking it up, and they've really found a lot of value in it. So could you talk a little bit about that? And then we'll come back to maybe some readings or some changes that people have had by working with you, so that people can see the value.
That's great.
Okay.
And I also want to give us some ideas about what's going on astrologically and
Oh,
in
yeah. Oh,
coming
yeah.
year. So yeah, well, I wrote the book. It's interesting just bringing it. I wrote the book November of 2021. And I wrote the book because I felt like there wasn't a good how-to book and how to deal with midlife. If you put midlife in Google, what comes up is it's conjoined with crisis in the thesaurus. It's the wrong side of 40. I'm like, wait a minute. What is going on here? There's got to be a new way to look at this. So I wrote the book because I felt like we need a good how-to book in this genre to help the millions of people who are at midlife. I wanted to share stories about my clients, and also wanted to help more people because, let's face it, I can only work with so many people in my lifetime, but millions of people can read my book. So I wanted to make my work more available, which is really based on my signature system that I have developed over the last 30 years. And I wanted to tell some of my story because my midlife, people look at me and go, how are you so happy and joyful? Because I've gone through divorce, empty nest. I went blind 3 times in this eye, my retina detached 3 times. I've had breast cancer, but I am having so much fun and I am so happy. I'm married to an amazing new man. My life is just spectacular. So I developed this system and wrote this book to give people the 7 steps that you can take. And I'll go over them in a moment, but I want to say you can start anywhere you'd like. So for me, I really started with step 2, which is really the self-love, the self-compassion piece, because if you don't love yourself, you're going to keep attracting the same old mud, right? You have to learn to love yourself. That is so absolutely pivotal. So the first step is knowing yourself. And that's super important because when you know yourself, you can create this blueprint for your life. And that's what these readings are all about, to help you to know yourself on a conscious and subconscious level. When you know yourself, you're like on your path. Things are unfolding. You're in flow. You're in the moment. Life is fun and joyful. You're not second guessing yourself. Conversely, when you don't know yourself, it's like you are climbing up this ladder of success, but is against the wrong building. So when you get to the top of the ladder, you look around and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not happy. What's going on here? And that's kind of what happened to me, sort of my first adulthood. I like to think of life as like you've got your childhood, you've got a first adulthood, you've got the second adulthood, where I was living someone else's life. It's that people pleaser, that perfectionist. It wasn't me. And I was literally had clinical depression. I was miserable. So you've got to know yourself. That's step two. Number two, as I said, is loving yourself. Number three is energizing yourself. If you are not healthy, if you don't have fantastic energy, it's very hard to rock your midlife. And we are energetic beings, right? We are come from sunlight. Everything we eat is either plants directly from the sun or animals that eat the plants. So we are energetic beings. We are magnetic. Just look at your heart. It's a pump, but it's also, it's also electric, right? So understanding energy work and also understanding what's the best diet for midlife. What's going to give you fantastic energy? What's going to help balance your hormones? What's going to help you keep your weight under control? What's going to help you keep that muscle mass up? Because we lose our muscle mass as we go through midlife. What's going to really help you feel and be your best? And that sort of cosmic spiritual connection is when we eat more of a vegetarian plant-based diet, that really helps with our spiritual connection and getting rid of a lot of the additives and preservatives, which can also block us. So that's three, is energizing yourself. Four is to reprogram your brain. There are lots of authors out there, people like Joe Dispenza, who are talking about this reprogramming of your brain. There's something called neuroplasticity, where you can change the wiring of your brain, no matter where you are at, by working with your thoughts productively, working on having a positive midlife mindset. You can literally change the structure of your brain, and that in turn will change your thoughts, your behavior, your action. So in this chapter, this step, I really talk about how to reprogram your brain so that you can rock your midlife. And then 5 is empowering yourself. How do you find power from within? How do you advocate for yourself? How do you take, this is who I am, step 1, knowing yourself, loving yourself, energizing yourself, reprogramming your brain. How do you put that together and all of a sudden say, this is who I am, and now I'm going to take action and create a life that I love. I'm going to manifest what is truly going to make me, not my spouse, not my kids, not my parents, not my boss, not my dog, but what's going to make me happy. This is where you really learn how to put things in action. And then we get to step 6, which is rehabbing your relationships. Super important. Relationships are really, important at all points in life, particularly midlife. We have so many relationships. But what happens is you start to be that butterfly. So you're like, I'm the butterfly, and I'm colorful, and I'm feeling good, and I'm like flying and sipping nectar. But the people in your life, believe it or not, they still think that you're the caterpillar. They're like, no, you're a caterpillar, because we see things as we are, not as they are. They're projecting. And what they can do is they can pull you back. You're trying to move forward and rock your midlife, and they're pulling you back. So in this chapter, I work with various techniques. I share on how you can really get your needs met, rehab those relationships, create boundaries, create a personal bill of rights, use something called nonviolent communications to really communicate to the people in your life. And finally, we get to enlighten yourself. And this is really where you connect with the divine, whether that's the divine within, whether you have specific spiritual practices, specific beings that you pray to, that you connect with, but it's about finding your own purpose, passion, meaning, spiritual connection. So again, you can start anywhere you'd like. You can read the whole book straight through. It also comes with a free journal, which I call a playbook, that you can, ask yourself. There's lots of journaling prompts, and there's lots of links and useful tools to really help you to start to rock your midlife.
I love it. I love it. Well, and I think that the permission slip of enough of us that are doing it. I mean, it's just like you need to see it to give yourself permission to do it. But I think that a lot of times it's about balance. That people, they may have been very successful in work or their own business, their own company, but they are out of balance in other ways. And what happens is it's like you're highly functioning, but you're missing a piece. And that's where I think your readings can really help, because especially when there's both sides of the reading, where you give the actual the benefit of the time you were born and the where you are, and also the negative of it, so that you can see when the negative shows up, oh, I can flip it. Or yeah, maybe you want to talk about those opposites and how they show up. Do you mind?
Sure. Yeah. So, it's really your challenges. So, when you are born, it's like your astrological chart is your soul's blueprint. Your soul decided to incarnate at a specific time and place. And so it's like you've got this curriculum to follow. And so there are challenges. So we've talked a little bit about Virgo. If you've got a lot of Virgo in your chart, it can be really, Virgos can be great at like, let's get stuff done, right? Let's be organized, get stuff done.
Yep.
Virgos, right? But
Yeah.
there's also that self critic. I have a lot of a Leo in my chart. So I love being on stages. I have Mars in Leo and I've got my ascendant in Leo. But the downside, every sign has like a flip side. There's like a coin, right? There's a plus and kind of a challenge side. So, but I have to make sure that I'm doing it for the benefit of the collective, to entertain people, to educate people, to bring more joy and passion into the world versus me all being about ego and I have to be seen. So what happens is as you start to get to know your chart, you get to know yourself. You get to know, okay, where are those blind spots? Oh, that's why I feel this way. And then we can also start to work on some of your shadow parts, these parts of yourself that need healing. And this is where some of that Reiki can come in too, where we can heal past wounding, past parts of yourself. So it's not that like a certain sign and placement is good or bad. There are challenging conversations. There are conversations where planets are what's called in squares or oppositions, where there are challenges to be overcome. And one of the beauties of midlife is that as we go through our lives, we become wiser. So, I have, for example, Venus and Scorpio. And Venus and Scorpio can be kind of a Glenn Close and Fatal Attraction. You can kind of blow up your life because you want this transformational kind of tense energy. When I realized that, I'm like, okay, where can I move in that direction in a more safe, productive way, or acknowledge that? So it's about really seeing where the tension, where the challenges are, but then also looking at the trines and the sextiles, which are more supportive conversations. So we're going to really, in these readings, going to start out, because I know a lot of people are a little new to astrology. What's your sun sign? Which is really what lights you up. Like, where is that energy coming from? Looking at your moon sign, like what helps you to feel nurtured emotionally and physically, and what sort of, how do you do your self-care? It'd be really helpful to understand your moon sign. And then your ascendant, which is really your motivation for life. So taking a look at those three things. And then, also I take a look at, some of your other, what's called your inner personal planets, which is Mars, Mercury, and Venus. And also seeing what's the relationship with the bigger outer planets, which I talked a little bit about, are more generational because they move slow. Mercury, Venus, Mars move pretty rapidly, whereas, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn move slower. So taking a look at all of that. But I think that, I'm giving you kind of like a snapshot of when you were born and what's up for you. And you get to take it any way that you want. So, two people can have similar charts. They're going to be really approach it differently. It's like two people can take, calculus, and they're going to do different, they're going to study different ways. They're going to approach it different ways. They're going to get different grades. One person might be a nursing student. One person might be an engineer. They have different reasons that they're taking it and why they're doing it. It's the same way with your chart. It's not good. It's not bad. It is what it is. And by understanding it, it'll really help you to move forward. And I love that you mentioned, sort of, people who are excelling in their work life. You can get into this mode of what you are good at, and even get to be in this kind of workaholic mode because you're so good at work. But I find people are ignoring other aspects of their life, and they're finding that your soul starts to knock and say, you're running out of time, it's time to wake up. There's other things you are supposed to do. And part of that too is that we are here to enjoy the heck out of life. And so, that workaholism could be like, well, I feel good at work because I get praise, but then where are you missing things? And, getting back to this weight issue, what I see with the majority of women who I work with is they have put on weight. They aren't moving their body. They aren't eating correctly. And so, food becomes one of the ways that they try to care for themselves at the end of the day after the workday. They're tired. Let's face it, we don't have quite the energy, in our 40s, 50s, and 60s the way that we did in our 20s and 30s. Right. And so we have to take better care of ourselves, and we have to take a look and see, okay, I'm having that, that wine and cheese every night, and, watching Netflix instead of eating healthfully and maybe getting some movement in my life because I'm tired. So I have to help them to change. But what I find, which is so fascinating, is as they start to open up to their genius zone, their creativity, having more fun, playing is a big area that we've ignored. They don't want the wine and cheese anymore, right? They want to
Yeah.
go to that dance class. They want to, go to that, whatever it is that they're doing. They want to work on their writing, whatever they is that creative project. And and all of that kind of snacking, that sabotaging yourself, that trying to soothe yourself with food, it just goes away. I mean, I've had people have amazing changes in their physicality. They don't even look the same. They have more energy.
Yeah.
They drop the 20 pounds like that with no dieting. I don't put people on diets at all, but it happens. And that was, again, one of the reasons I came into the holistic nature of my work, because I realized that it wasn't about the weight. Things start sort of on the spiritual level, and then they start to work on the emotional, the mental, and then they show up in the physical level. But if we start with more of the spiritual, what's your passion, what's your purpose, who are you really, looking at your your gene keys and looking at your astrological chart and getting some more insight through tarot, then it's like, okay, I see food and movement as a way I can take care of myself. So I have the energy to do the things that I want to do in my life. But people are a little bit of lost because we get off track because we're pleasing other people. We're doing what society says is the right thing to do. We're in that perfectionism zone. We're scared of making a mistake and failing. And if you're gonna rock your midlife, you've got to step outside your comfort zone and reframing that failure as it's just stepping stones on the road to success. And getting also into this manifestation energy of what is it that you really, really want? And if you don't know, getting this energy of how do you want to feel?
Right. Perfect.
And how do you manifest that?
Well, I love the idea of how you want to feel after this lockdown period, because
Mm,
it's almost like get a restart opportunity. We had this pause inflicted upon us, that now we get to really look at, you know, maybe we looked at our mortality at the beginning of the lockdown, where there was this invisible enemy. It wasn't another country. It wasn't another thing. It could get you anywhere, all of those things. And you looked at your food in your pantry, and you looked at how you felt about your life and death, whether death was a big fear for you. You had to address it. And that now we're coming out, and I can't think of anyone that I'd rather play with to replan, restructure my life forward than Dr. Ellen, because what you're going to see is that this is a opportunity to have joy every day, to wake up in the morning and be excited, not just grateful, but excited, and see, and I'm getting chills just saying it, that perfection. I am a Virgo. That's why I'm giggling in the background, if you guys can hear me. Um, every time you went Virgo, and it was like, yeah. Because my mother was a Virgo too, so I grew up with
that's
that.
why I love working with you, because I don't, you understand moving things forward and structures and systems, and Virgos can be, but everything, again, flip sides can have
Right,
so much,
right, right.
wonderful aspects to it.
But I want people to realize that you are the creator of everything in your life, and that you get to choose how to create it. You're not a victim of anything. That's what this whole conscious business zone is about, helping servant leaders find resources like Dr. Ellen to make your life better, because you're so busy helping your customers and your employees thrive, that we need you to be able to thrive too, to keep the momentum going for all these changes. And I just want to recommend that you check out what she's doing and have a reading, and you will see the difference in how you look at everything. It's like an expanded view of even if you meditate and you already do energy work, or you're good on an exercise program, so you know to move your body and everything. This gives you a new perspective on your capabilities to serve at a higher level for yourself and others. It's not everyone else, it's yourself and others. And we kind of leave ourselves out, as especially as women. We're always taking care of everyone else, right?
Yeah, it's not our fault. We saw our moms do it, and we are
Yeah,
taught, there's this BS story out there of it's self-care is selfish. Even when we,
right.
hear this meme about put your own oxygen mask on first. No, just put your oxygen mask on. On, right? Like we're
Yeah.
supposed to be worrying about everybody else. Yes, I'm not saying don't worry about your loved ones, but if you're listening, you deserve love and you deserve care. And the more you're thriving, I mean, I think what we're really talking about here, Kathy, too, is stepping into full 5D. We're so weighed down by how complicated and crazy and fearful the world is. And so I think this is a great opportunity to have this conversation of like, what does 5D space look like for you? Because each of us is coming with our own ideas about spirituality, about meaning, about purpose, about being energetic beings. And I can, once I do the reading and get to know you, I can, follow up with you to really help you figure out, okay, how do I live a more energized life? How do I live a more 5D life? I have to say, if you had told me my life would be this gorgeous 6 years ago, I'd been like, sign me up. I've been through a lot of hell to get to this place. You don't have to do that.
Right. Oh, yeah, bonus round, bonus round. Yeah, well that's why I think your gifts and your packages are so amazing, because you're the shortcut. And if you're in midlife and you are successful at what you're doing, but you know you're out of balance, go to somebody who can get you quickly back on track. Don't go, I mean, to read all the books that Dr. Ellen's read, or take all the courses that Dr. Ellen's had. Why not go to somebody who's got the whole thing all figured out and guide you by the hand, lovingly guide you? This is not shaming, blaming, or any of that. It's actually the total opposite, where you're held and called and loved and nurtured to be your best self, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because a lot of people have a lot of shame and a lot of embarrassment maybe about where they're at, and it's not about that at all. We are all imperfect beings. We all fail, we all make mistakes, and I've got you. And this process is really about holding space. That's that I do as a coach, holding space to help you to be your best self, to have you say, okay, where do you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 3 years, 5 years? And how do we get you there as fast as possible and have fun along the way? So there is no shaming, there is no blaming. A lot of women that I work with initially are a little, embarrassed with where they're at. And it's okay. I have got you and I understand that. And I can help you through the process really, really fast. And it's also a lot of fun. And it's just amazing when people transform. Like I have one of my absolute favorite clients literally went and joined the circus. She had grown up next to a circus in her childhood. As you described, Kathy, she was very much engaged in her business and like working all the time, feeling really drained. She was a caregiver for her mom. And I was like, go join the circus. She went to circus camp for like a long weekend, and she got herself in shape for circus camp. And she surrounded herself with circus in her life, and things started to shift. But it's in getting this energy, finding those nuggets, those breadcrumbs that are going to lead you to what's next for you. And I guess the first step is just to just step outside your comfort zone, have a reading. I really created these because I wanted to give people quick access to a transformational blueprint that they could use starting right now.
So would you like me to show the reading page now, or would you rather do the astrology?
Oh my goodness.
What would you prefer?
Let me talk about the astrology too, because you talked about balance, and we are currently in Libra season. So Libra is about the scales. It's about coming into balance. It happens, in the fall, when sunlight and daylight, and the sunlight and dark are equal, right? The thing about balance, though, which is so interesting, is that you never reach balance. It's a moving target. And so right now, if you're feeling really overwhelmed, if you're feeling like your life is in balance, particularly around the relationship areas, so important right now to like set some baggage down, do a little less. We've had a really intense summer. Another thing that happened this summer is we had Venus retrograde through Leo, and Leo is like the heart of summer. You had Venus, the planet of like beauty and truth and values and relationships, going through Leo. It was there for 3 months from June all the way. It's still there. Venus is still in Leo. She's about to leave Leo. I think it's August 8th or 9th. So if you've been sort of exploring these themes of what makes me happy, what brings me joy, what's my truth, who am I really, but feeling balanced and feeling a little burnt out from this intense summer with this transit, now's a really good time to take a look at balance. Venus is about to go into Virgo. Mercury just went into Libra. And then also we've got these eclipses coming. So eclipses are happening on the 14th of October and the 28th of October. And eclipses are really powerful times of transformation. It's where kind of we see our stuff, and we have also got, if Halloween, we think about kind of it's a season to do this deep shadow work, right, to get a little bit more into the woo. It's a really good time to do it. And then we've got a whole lot of planets marching through into Scorpio. So the sun will go into Scorpio, the end of the month, and then we've got Mars has been in Libra. Mars actually just went through that, the point where the eclipse is. I think that happened yesterday. And then it's squaring Pluto, which is kind of uh, amplifying this energy. It's kind of like there's a lot of tension right now. There's a lot of things that are moving and changing. So it's a good time to figure out, how do I recharge? How do I get back into balance? What's working in my life? What's not working in my life, particularly around relationships? And as we're going into the Scorpio, we're going to have the sun, Mars, and Mercury all in Scorpio. It's a kind of like composting of, how do I sort of digest this and work on these parts of myself, so that, we think about the cycles of life, so that I can really blossom. How do I nurture and water myself and recharge? And what do I need to, like, what baggage can I put down? I kind of get a little tired of this. Like, we all know let go feels so big, but what plate can you put down? If you're juggling 12 plates, can you put 2 down? Can you do a little less? Can you spend a little bit more time with that self-care? So those are the big things that are happening right now. And then I can talk a little bit, maybe we'll show the reading, and then I can talk a little bit about kind of what's up for the year ahead.
Oh, great. Okay. So let's show the page, and then here we go. Here we go. And yes, that is me, embarrassingly enough.
But the funny thing was, before I pulled that card, I said, don't let it be the tower, the tower card. There's the tower card.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're offering now is these Rockstar readings, which are amazing. As you can see, I had one. As you can see that funny picture. And you were having so much fun. You really, the energy was awesome.
Well, I want to say it's fun too, because I think sometimes people think about astrology and tarot as like they're going to predict the future and they're going to tell me, this thing is going to happen. That's not the way that I work with the energies, this cosmic energies. What I feel is we all have intuitive guidance that comes to us. So by connecting with your energy, by connecting with your chart, your gene keys, and then doing a reading, I'm able to see the energy that is happening and be able to help you figure out, how do I take advantage of this? Here are my challenges. Here are the blessings that are coming my way. It's not like I don't predict the future. I mean, I think some people do that. I'm not, I mean, I have psychic gifts and I'm looking at sort of your energy, but it's really deep energy work of understanding you. So you're going to gain clarity. This is going to boost your confidence, because the word confidence, the root of it is confide. When you know yourself, you can trust yourself.
Yeah.
Getting to know yourself can help you move forward. It's going to ignite your energy. You're going to feel really energized after the reading. It's going to deepen that compassion, that connection you have with yourself. You're going to get personalized insights. You're going to get guided sessions. So I'll actually follow up with you and send you your reading and some suggestions moving forward. You're going to get practical wisdom and, again, ongoing support. So it's a great opportunity for you to start to get to know yourself, to work with me, to make some big changes or little changes in your life so that you can really rock it.
Yeah, and I need to make my testimonial, but I want to watch it again because I'm so glad that you also offered to record it, because the recording allows you a chance to really digest it. A lot of times when you get a reading or you hear something, I'm so visual that I'm like stuck on the last thing you said and I didn't get the next thing. And that might have been the gem of the whole conversation. So I'm really, I look forward to getting to dive deeper, and that recording really makes a difference. I know for me it will.
Yeah, that's what. So you'll have this for the rest of your life to look back on, because your cosmic blueprint, your astrological chart, that doesn't change. That's where the planets were when you were born.
Right.
But as the things are changing around you, and if you want to moving forward, I can also help people understand how things are going to affect them. What's happening now with the planets? How is that affecting you now? Because as planets go through your planets and make that connection, that can actually create changes. Like, one big thing that happens in midlife is we go through our second Saturn return. We have our first Saturn return in our late 20s, early 30s. We have our second Saturn return in our sort of late 50s, just up to about 60. And that's times when Saturn is the planet of, like, okay, Saturn's stern, it's a taskmaster. Like, okay, are you on your track? Or we have our Chiron return, which happens in our 50s. I read from one woman, and she had Chiron is in Aries now. So if you were born and you're in your 50s, there's a lot of changes. You're facing that again. So it's really about this deep healing that you're doing. So you can also take a look and see what's going on for you now in terms of where the planets are in the sky right now.
Okay. Well, so what you're saying is that once you get a reading like this, it's not just a one-off for this time period, that a lot, especially the gene key reading and especially any other balance information that you give through the tarot reading. So there's all of these aspects that help you be a better you and get off of the self-doubt wheel. Because if we were in command of ourselves and weren't in self-doubt, we would be so much more productive. We'd be very courageous and do our stuff, right?
Yeah, self-doubt is really, really a hard thing to deal with. If you are second guessing yourself, you're putting that energy out there. And again, as a psychologist, I'm also working with this from the perspective of, this is shadow work. Your self-doubt, your worry, all of these things are protecting you from failing, from making a mistake. Your brain, getting back to neuroscience, your brain isn't interested in you rocking midlife, being happy, being joyful, finding your purpose, feeling fulfilled, finding meaning. Your brain is interested in one thing, and that is keeping you safe. And so
That's
when
right.
you have that self-doubt and that worry, it's this primitive part, your lizard brain, not this new, where you're trying to grow this cosmic connected brain, this intuitive brain, or even our executive functioning, is going to try to shut you down. And so you can look at your chart, like I was saying with that client that I had with the money issues. We can look and say, okay, you've got Cancer, your moon is in Cancer in your second house. And this is how, we can work with this so that you can feel more secure, so you don't have these doubts about what you're doing in terms of spending money. I had another client, sometimes I work with other family members. It was really helpful to see she had a child who was really struggling. And so he had his ascendant and his Mars in Leo, which means he needs a lot of attention. He's very active, and she has her moon in Leo. So I was working with her to understand, let's understand your moon in Leo. How can you use that understanding to help your son? So the more I work with it, the more powerful I find it is a tool to help people just rock their midlife, to really just be their absolute best selves. And as you said, Kathy, to get over that self-doubt, to find that confidence, because when you know yourself, you can really connect with what's next for you. And then you start to manifest that. That's where it gets really exciting, where I have, clients say, oh my God, this job like fell from the sky, or this relationship fell from the sky, or this trip just sort of unfolded for me. Because if we're in that fear and self-doubt, it's like we're wearing blinders and we're always thinking about protecting ourselves. Whereas when we can open up, that's when the magic starts to happen.
Perfect. And I was just talking about this last night with somebody about receiving, is that we really weren't taught to receive. And that this is another way that you can receive. First, you receive yourself in your entirety and really have an overview of your potential, really the big potential with a big B, a big potential, and big P, I guess. And then what happens is you're bringing in this energy of enthusiastic co-creation with all that is, which we really don't see that very often. I like to do that. I'm in a group called Co-Creators Convergence, and we do work like that. It's part of Barbara Marx Hubbard's legacy. And there aren't that many places that people are able to work with someone like you that will bring that out in the creativity and the excitement about being alive and thriving, because it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I love to connect the cosmic, the 5D, with my conventional training, because the two together are just like unstoppable, where you can connect with that joy, that passion, that manifestation, but then also having the coaching skills to help you to figure out how to get there faster, what's in your way, how to create actual, I'm very, goal oriented. What are you going to be doing this week to get you there? Because we have to have the manifestation mindset, but then we also have to take action. We have to show the universe, yep, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to take this action. We can't just, sit on our, in our meditation studio and expect things to magically happen without acting. So we have to create the blueprint with our thoughts, keeping them positive, getting a clear sense of what it is we want. We have to magnetize that vision of what we want, doing that visualization, feeling what you want. And then we have to take action. And that's where the coaching piece comes in. We have to take action to make our dreams a reality. We have to, we have to go out there and make that phone call, put ourselves out there on a dating app if that's what we want. Start to network if we want a different job, buy those plane tickets if we want to do that traveling. So I'm helping people to not be in fear and doubt, but to be in this place of empowered clarity and vision.
Perfect. And I know that as a busy professional, I love to go to people that have already figured it out, that have already taken the path, can hold me by the hand as I do it, and not have to bounce off the wall. At this point in your life, you want an expert. You want somebody that's done it, that's a cancer survivor, that's a wellness expert, that's a certified coach, a Reiki master. I mean, oh my God, it's like you could be explaining something and Ellen can just change the energy in it right there. I mean, and an author, a speaker, I mean, you're a dietitian. You have so much knowledge that you can bring to anybody like me that I don't have the time to go to each one of and I really don't want a traditional psychologist. I don't want a weekly meeting talk therapy. I want the holistic view that's going to energize and help me rock it. And rock it. Anyway, I don't have a pink jumpsuit like you do, but so is there anything else that you'd like us to talk about here while we're on? Because I hope anybody that's watching this will share this with their loved ones so that they know that this could be a great offer, Christmas present or holiday present. This is the time right now, while Ellen's just getting this new Rockstar reading process going. It's at a lower price than it's going to be next year, but this could be a great gift, or a gift that you give yourself so that you make it through the holidays when you're around people that you're not necessarily thrilled with and they don't trigger you anymore, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a really great gift to give yourself too. I mean, if you're wanting it to look into next year, we can really set you up for next year. And also it's a great opportunity to get to know yourself. And if you need more help going forward, we certainly can talk about that as well, because I'm here to support, like you, Kathy, just to support people who are waking up. And waking up is not always an easy thing, but you don't have to do it alone. The universe doesn't want you to do it alone. I think we're in times of intense changing, and you don't have to navigate it alone. I mean, I think, next year is going to be a busy, crazy year. There's a lot of things happening out there, and you can figure out how you can live life to the fullest. Life is so short and so precious and so gorgeous. And so I would love, love, love to meet you. If you have a question about this, feel free to reach out to me. It's the midlifewhisperer.com. That's the midlifewhisperer.com. So you can find me there.
Okay, super. And she's also on Facebook and on LinkedIn and all sorts of places. But what I just want to suggest that this could be the best thing you give yourself this year. I mean, it's an hour or so of your time, and you will really benefit. And the insights that you'll get and the clear path that you'll get. I don't think there's anyone who has the combination of skill set and expertise that could guide you. There's no one I know of. And so I just want everyone to take advantage of this and really get a chance to start next year in a whole different mindset, get the support you need, and really see what's in store for us. We all stood in line to get these bodies to be here right now during this huge change. And so it's hands on deck, guys. It's everyone wake up, show up, do good stuff, right?
Yeah, you don't have to live in fear and stress and self-doubt. And
Yes.
the beautiful thing too is that when you can clear that energy, you're so much more productive. You're so much happier. Life just flows. You actually end up working less and playing more, being healthier. It's really a powerful thing. So if you're, in fear, doubt, stress, need some clarity, please do check out the readings.
Perfect. And again, this is the fastest path out of victimhood to joy. There's no doubt about it. This is the fastest path in one reading, in one interaction with Ellen. You will see a different path for yourself, and then it's up to you how deep you want to go into that. But you're not trapped. You're not a victim of this whole situation. You're the creator, and you can create the best stuff. You can't even imagine how cool the stuff that can come through, right?
Yeah, I think it's all about getting into that 5D. We hear a lot about that, right? But the 3D world is so heavy, so incredibly heavy. But I think, and then we need the tools to rise above that. And when we know ourselves, we give ourselves what we need, we can really do that.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you. Bless you for the work you do. I'm so glad that I got to get a Rockstar reading. And I hope everyone shares this with their loved ones and maybe drop hints of what you want for the holidays or your birthday coming up because it will change your life and for the better. It'll change your life for the better. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you,
Ellen.
Kathy. Bye.
Bye bye. Wonderful. Thank you. Really appreciate you.